That's what I was going to say.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'd just like to say a couple of words first. That there's certain people that should have been here today that are no longer with us. I'd just like to put our thoughts out to those and hope that the rest of the afternoon goes well and that we all just enjoy. Okay? Right. Love you. It's an easy word to say, but I love you is unconditional. I say this to Kyleey and the rest of my kids every time we speak on the telephone, ever since they were little and now into adulthood. We speak to each other quite often. When we're not busy with other work, we still phone each other and we still get on. We've always got on. We're more like friends than anything else. I might not have been a 24/7 father to Kyleey, as a lot of you growing up with her would know that. She's got her parents, her mom, Teresa, who has brought her up, taught her everything she knows, and as far as I'm concerned, she should be the one here talking to you, not me, because she can talk. She's done an amazing job bringing up Kyleey. That I got to admit. I was always just a phone call away. And if I wasn't, Teresa would make sure that I was a phone call away, and anything that happened with Kyleey, I would always know about. My first memory of Kyleey was the moment she was born. I was outside the delivery room and heard this cry. Tia and her mum called me in. They said to me, "She's beautiful." I looked at her and I went, "Damn, she's got small ears." It runs in the family. As time went on, I used to come up to Chesterfield to see Kyleey. And I always remember when she was about 3 years old, I used to get up here kind of early, and I used to just walk around Chesterfield town centre. And I'd go into a shop, just wander into a shop, whether it was a clothes shop or a newsagent's, and I'd see staff staring at me. And by the time I got to the counter, I'd hear, "Are you Kyleey's dad?" There was a resemblance then, even when she was little, that people just recognised. As Kyleey went to school, I used to try and get up to as many of her school functions as possible. When it was plays, anything that was going, T would give me a phone call saying it was on. I was touring at the time, but I always tried to make every one. If I missed any, I'm sorry, but I think I made at least 90% as far as I know. I remember one year, it was Kyleey's birthday, and I sent a Christmas card. I'm going again. I sent a birthday card a week early to make sure that she got it. On the day of her birthday, phone to Kyleey, we're speaking on the phone. Phone goes down. He rings me a few minutes later saying Kyleey was upset. And I was like, why? She didn't get her card. And I thought I posted it a week early. It should have got there. So I went out to the shops and bought 3 cards and sent all 3 of them in the post. Only one reached. So it was the postman's fault, that was a definite. That's it, I'll keep playing. As Kyleey was growing up, she used to come down, I used to pick her up from Chesterfield, and she used to come down and stay with me. And there was only certain music that we'd listen to on the tape recording that was in the car, which would either, it had to be Aswad, Beats International or Steel Pulse. I think she knows all the songs that would go into that. Pauline is my other half, and from the time Kyleey was probably about a year, 2 years old, Pauline has always treated her as her own, which I thank you for. And so she sort of had 2 moms in a way, which was very good. Most times I used to go to see Kyleey, and Kyleey's hair, when she was young, was blonde. You wouldn't believe, but she had blonde hair when she was little. And it was thick. And her hair was hard to plait, but I used to love plaiting Kyleey's hair. It was amazing. It was just like there, T would say pat her hair and I'd just plait because I just loved doing it. As Kyleey grew up and was more independent, she'd start driving down to me, which started to scare me. You know, we'd be scared to ring in case she got in an accident. But she always reached there safely through her tom-tom, which was crap at the time. But she got a new one eventually and she was all right. My kids, when they're all in the room together, I can never get their names right. I don't know what it is. It's been like that since they were little. I'll call Kyleey Daniel, right? And I'll do the same with them. I just can never get their names right. We're all together in the same room. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it just goes to show that I love them all equal. So no matter what name I called you, Kyleey, you know I loved you just as much as everything. Now, we get on to two things about Kyleey which stick in my head. The first time was at a party when I saw Kyleey drunk. I've never seen that before. To me, that was an eye-opener. And the second thing I saw was Nathan making sure that she was all right. And I was just watching in the crowd, and Nathan was always behind her. He was just, I mean, Kyleey was all over the place. But Nathan was there, kept his eye on her, and I could tell that he was a good man, and he was going to look after her. In all the years, I can say Kyleey was at her happiest. I remember one day I got a phone call early in the day. It was Nathan. We spoke for a while, and then he said he needed to ask me something. I said, well, if you could phone me later, because I was at work at the time teaching. I said I'll be in at 7 o'clock in the evening. Nathan said, okay, you'll ring me later. So when I got in, I went straight to Pauline, and Raya was sitting on the sofa. And I went, Nathan's ringing later. I think he's going to ask for Raya's... Right, see, I'm doing it! He's going to ask for Kyleey's hand in marriage. They turned around to me and went, stop jumping the gun, you know, it's that. And I'm thinking, okay, so you already give me the inside info on that. Anyway, right on time, Nathan rang. We spoke for a bit, and then he said, I need to ask you something. He asked for Kyleey's hand in marriage. I went, hold on. I said, there's two people you have to ask first. I handed the phone over to Pauline. She's giving me a lot of grief, saying, just. So we had to speak to Pauline first. The first thing out of her mouth was, yes, 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 yes. She passed the phone back to me. Nathan's about to speak. I went, hold on, we haven't finished. There's another person you need to speak to, Raya. Passed the phone to Raya. Yes, 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 yes. Then the phone came back to me. I remember putting the phone to me, I went, well, Nathan, as the famous words of Simon Cowell said, then there was 30 seconds of silence. And I said, it seems like you've got 3 yeses. And I'm kind of glad of that, because Nathan has always been a gentleman from day one. He's just such a nice person. Kyleey, you've always been brilliant. Everybody loves you no matter where you go. You've been brought up well by your mum and the rest of your family. They've looked after you and they've always treated you well. And Nathan, I'm sure and I'm positive he will do the same. And I'd just like to raise the glasses, everybody, to the new Mr. and Mrs. Mathers. Congratulations. Thank you.
Not sure how you follow that. Pretty emotional. But that's followed by the groom's speech. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Mathers.
first of all, thank you to Enoch for those kind words. Absolutely fantastic. On behalf of both of us, that was beautiful. We appreciate that.
Wait. Show how thick that deck is real quick.
Some of them are empty. That one's not got many on it. Some of them have a lot on it. See how quickly I can get through it. I'll make it as quick as I can. I want to start by first of all saying thank you for all of you for making it here. It means a lot to us both that you're here, especially those that came from overseas. Bubba and his wife Denise came all the way from America. I know it wasn't easy. We've got family from Scotland. We've got Laura who came from where's Laura? Came in from Australia. So thank you all for making it. We really appreciate it here. I'm sure now you've all seen the venue, you'll agree that it's definitely worth getting lost a couple of times to find it, and it's worth the extortionate taxi fees that some of you probably had to fork out to get here. If you haven't experienced that and you need a taxi home, good luck getting it. But thank you very much for all being here, it really does mean the world to us. Before I go any further, we've not drank too much too far. What I was going to say is there's a few thank yous in my speech, so make sure now's the time to make sure your glasses are full. We've got a few toasts to make, so now's a good time to fill up. Firstly, Teresa and Neil. Where's Neil sat? Right in front of me. They were kind enough to help pay for the flowers today. As you can all see, the flowers are absolutely stunning. Thank you very much for that. It means a lot to us. And then, as well as saying thank you to everybody, as Enoch did, I'm going to tell a little story about everybody. Teresa, I'm sure you remember the first time that I met you. It may have not been the first time 100% that I met you, but it was one of the early times, and this is one that stands out to me. You pulled me over to the bar, we were out with everybody. By the way, every time I met Teresa, it's usually at a bar. You pulled me over to the side to help you grab some drinks. We got to the bar, and I was met with your stern face saying, "What are your intentions for my daughter?" I genuinely can't remember what my answer was. I blacked out because I was scared. But it couldn't have been that bad, because you've slightly warmed up to me since then. Just kidding. Since then, she's taken me in as family, and it means a lot, and I couldn't be happier to be part of that family. You've brought me in, and it really does mean a lot, and you've been so great to me. So thank you very much for that. For raising such a charming, handsome, and modest son.
It's in the genes.
Yeah. Well, my next line was to say, although it's hard to see where that's going. But joking aside, there's not enough words that I can say to thank you for everything that you've done and continue to do for this family. You've always been there for me, Dad.
Don't do it.
Football? No, I'm good. Every football game, you were always there without fail.
Close.
Many games, stop that. Many games, training sessions, we were always there. Most of the time late, but we were always there. Made it to every game, and you gave up everything to make sure you were there. And then Mum, one thing that always stands out was the moment, I am close, but I'm getting there, was the moment that you left me in the hotel room in America. That was a heartbreaking moment for you. Come on.
You've got this.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm done.
Yeah.
You start. I'll never quite understand everything that you sacrificed
I can't remember.
for me to be the man that I am today. Whew. For all the parents, we'll skip that next bit because we're struggling. For all the parents, we've got some gifts. They're all labelled up, I think. Dad and Pauline, we've got a gift for you.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank God. Thank God for the gift break.
Oh, I did.
Neil and Mum.
I told Tom I don't drive. Don't want to talk.
So for all the parents, we've got gifts.
Thank you, darling.
And moving on from there, I would also like to say a quick thank you to Nana Powell, where are you, right in front of us, for the amazing cake that you see over there. Unfortunately, I don't have any stories about Nana Powell because none of them are appropriate. And the last comment I was going to make, Enoch already touched on it. Lastly, before we raise a glass to family, We had a few members of the families that couldn't be here today that would love to be here. So here's the family. Without you, we wouldn't be here today. A few quick words about the bridesmaids. Sarah, Fiona, Rachel. I think I can confidently speak on behalf of everybody here by saying that you guys look absolutely stunning today. Round of applause for the bridesmaids. Everybody knows Kyleey is a girl who has thousands and thousands of friends. Too many to keep up with. She's always busy, it's hard to tie her down all the time. But there's just a handful of friends that she speaks about most often. You're the people that she turns to when she's down, and the first people she wants to call when she's got good news as well. And you're the people that are in the room today. So personally, I'd like to thank you all for being there for Kyleey all the time, for giving her an absolutely awesome night out in Liverpool the other night on the hen do. I've seen the pictures, they're disgusting. And helping her get to where she is here today without having a mental breakdown, which she was close to quite a few times. So raise a glass again for the bridesmaids. Cheers, thank you very much. Next, the best man and the groomsman. Yep. First of all, an absolute planning nightmare. So we've got Bubba coming in from Texas, we've got Mitch coming in from Liverpool, Bubba coming in from Nottingham, the only local one, and my brother coming in from Kilmarnock, which, for those of you who don't know, it's in Scotland, north. So if any of the suits look a bit weird, which Mitch might think his does a little bit, it's because it was just a logistical nightmare, trying to get everybody together to get those suits fitted. But you've all been there for me in different ways. Bubba, we met during my 5 years in Texas. During those 5 years, I think it's safe to say we went through the lowest of lows and the highest of highs together. The lows were real low, the highs were real high. But you helped me be the man that I am today, for real. And I thank you for that. Mitch, we met in sixth form, always got on from day one. And no matter the distance, we've always been good friends. All the £1 million ideas that we've come up with, none of them we've ever done anything about. But one day we might, but probably not. But we'll always talk about it. Every time one of us gets an idea, we'll always talk about it. Duncan, when I moved back from America, I met Duncan through a mutual friend, through Claire, who's here today as well. And me and Duncan hit it off. Duncan was weirdly obsessed with American football, which I pretended to like also, just so I feel alright about it. But you took me under your wing when I came out. I didn't have any friends, I had to start life all over again. And Duncan took me under his wing, mostly because he needed a drinking buddy, just to keep up with him, and I was perhaps the only person that could. But after spending so much time with you, I found out that you were one of the most loved people I've ever met. Thank you. Love you too. Last but not least, my brother. I spent a lifetime acting like I'm better than you at everything. But it taught me one thing, and that's how much I look up to you and respect you. If I can hope to be as good of a father and husband as you are one day, that would be great. But I'll probably be better than you. Let's see the room for cheers. Raise your glass. Thank you. Thank you. Nearly done.
Want to wait, can you hurry up?
Yeah. Last but by no means least, my wife. Feels great to say it finally, and can we just say, wow, stand up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So I do have a story about Kyleey, well I have many stories about Kyleey, but I'll never forget the first time that we met. We'd been chatting for a while, texting for a while, we'd never actually met, and one night we decided to go for a few drinks in Chesterfield. I lived in Nottingham at the time, I caught a taxi up. I got a train up, sorry, not a taxi. I get off the train, and in the distance, I see a girl that looked like Kyleey. I'd never met her before, so wasn't sure. Looked very, very much like her though. But she had a bright yellow jacket on, so you couldn't miss her. Then what I see next was a little bit weird. She decides to try and hide. Behind what can only be described as a glass wall. So it's see-through. And she's got a yellow jacket on. Like I say, you can't miss her. I walk closer and closer, and all of a sudden she jumps out. Tries to make me jump, which didn't work. She a long way away. I learned a lesson that day, and that's that Kyleey doesn't always think things through. Which is also how we got here today. The date was going pretty smooth first day, lots of conversation, no awkward silences. I ended up getting caught up in a story about a bad breakup I'd had in the past. I finished the story. You remember what your first words were?
No, you don't. No, I don't.
Can I kiss you now? Which was a shock, coming from a girl who was adamant she didn't kiss on the first date. Sorry, Mum.
I was drunk.
A few more drinks later and a few good conversations later, we both decided, okay, we've had enough. I'll get the train home, we'll both go home. Apart from Kyleey didn't go home. She went straight to the club. Straight to the club, because I see all the videos. Social media today ruins everything. I see all the videos of it in a club as soon as I get home. It was a solid. It was a solid first date, but it had me thinking, what have I got myself in for? A close friend of mine, Claire again, who I lived with at the time, said, maybe she's too wild for you. Obviously, I like the challenge. Fast forward 2 years, October 12th, 2017, not too long ago. I told Kyleey that I was going to take her out for dinner for her anniversary. We didn't go out for dinner, but we actually came here. For those of you who don't know, that was 6 months ago today, to the exact date. In that same spot we got married, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. And luckily, she said yes. I struggled to find the right words to describe how lucky I am to have Kyleey in my life. I've never met a person so kind, generous and loving. And I'm yet to meet one person who's got one bad word to say about her. She makes me laugh every day, mostly because of how clumsy she is. In fact, I'm surprised there's been no accidents. We might need to try and find a bib for her later. But I'm so happy to say that I'll be spending the rest of my life with the most beautiful, thoughtful, charismatic woman I've ever met. And most importantly, she's my best friend. I love you. Raise a glass for the bride. Cheers everybody, that's it from me. Moving on to the best man. Thank you very much everyone.
All right, here we go.
Round two. Get your tissues out there.
All right. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the pee break. Thank you, Martin.
I was not alone.
Yeah, no, you all think I'm not usually a very emotional person, but today I'm very concerned, I'm very nervous about this speech because I'm already emotional and I haven't even started. So I'm apologizing in advance. I don't know how you follow that, Enoch, you crushed it.
Yeah.
Nathan, it's typical Nathan, just knocked it out of the park. So with that all aside, and before we get started, there were several topics that I was told I could not discuss tonight. So I had a whole laundry list of material, and it got cut in half, and then it got cut in half again, and it got cut in half again. I'm not so good with the math, but I think it's like an eighth of what was really out there that I can actually talk about tonight.
Is that it?
About an eighth. That's all we got. So for those of you who haven't met, my name is Bubba Reeds. If you haven't noticed by my accent, I'm not from around here. My beautiful wife, Denise, in the back. From San Antonio, Texas, and that's where we had the pleasure of meeting Nathan and spending time with Nathan. Before I say anything else, I I don't know about you guys, but when Kyleey came out tonight, it took my breath away. And so I'd like to ask her one more time. I know Nathan already stole my thunder, but one more round of applause for Kyleey. The venue is amazing as well. It's everything I imagined an Old English barn could be. Let me start by also thanking and congratulating the parents of the bride, Enoch and Pauline. Truth. No. I was going somewhere with that. Enoch and Pauline, Teresa and Neil. Yeah. Give me a little bit of credit. You know, they often say that when you have a child getting married or you have a daughter getting married, that you're not actually losing a daughter, but you're gaining a son. To that I say, let me know how that works out. Thank you to Carol and Martin, the parents of the groom. The saying can be the same in your case. You're gaining a daughter, and I think that you got the much better end of the deal. True. And I know him pretty well. I have to say I was very surprised when Nathan asked me to be the best man, especially when I saw the agenda. I never thought that he'd give me alcohol and then a microphone. I don't have a microphone, so I'm a little disappointed right now. And then asked me not to take a piss. Right? But when I wrote this, I originally wrote one speech, and it's not what you're getting tonight. I tried to read it, I tried to go through the speech, and I got emotional, and I had to dial it back a little bit. And my wife Denise in the back said, "Hey, that's too much. You gotta dial it back." So tonight I actually prepared two speeches. When Nathan asked me to do this, I realized the opportunity at hand. I was going to be drinking and giving a speech and a microphone, and so I prepared two speeches. So the question tonight is, one is a basic wedding speech. The other one is a roast. So I took that 1/8 and multiplied it times 40, and I got what's on the roast. So, do we want the roast, or do we want the speech? The roast. Yeah, I was afraid you would say that, and I really value Kyleey's friendship. Not Nathan's, Kyleey's friendship, so we're just going to go with the basic wedding speech. We'll do the roast at 1:45. When Nathan asked me to be his best man, I was honored, and first I asked myself why. From what I understand, he asked first he asked his funniest friend, and he declined. Then he asked his smartest friend, and he also said no. Third, he asked his most handsome friend, and he also said no. Finally, he called me. I said, "Nathan, I can't say no to you 4 times. I'll fuck you." So I met Nathan right after he graduated college. If you can imagine, young, cocky, handsome Englishman in America, right? Everybody thought he was Australian. He was actually coaching my youngest son's soccer camp. My youngest son, we have between the two of us, Denise and I, we have 6 kids, and that's part of why this is so emotional for me tonight, because we're about to have to do this a few times, and it hits me pretty deep. But he was coaching my youngest son Dylan's camp, and Dylan was just a very sweet soul. And Dylan loved Nathan, and he couldn't say Nathan. He said Nathan. Coach Nathan with an F, right? Because he was only about 4.5 years old. And so I referred to Nathan as Nath, and we all know him back home as Nath. He's not Nathan, he's Nath. So if you hear me say that tonight, Nath, it's actually because of my youngest and the relationship that we have. Shortly after meeting Nathan and hearing all the stories about how amazing he was at soccer in college, from him of course, not from anybody else, because he moved from Carolina to Texas and nobody knew who he was in Texas. We picked him up to be the ringer on our Sunday men's league team and our indoor team. I wish I could say that worked out well for everybody, but to be honest, he never made it off the bench.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed, nothing's changed. Sunday games and indoors soon turned into beers and beers after games, and eventually becoming friends away from the game. Before long, Nathan was family. Nathan became a little brother to me and a big brother to my kids. Both our lives took some unexpected turns, and when he talks about this, we went through a lot together. And we eventually ended up being roommates. Living together will teach you a lot about someone. When you live with somebody, it's a level of intimacy that you experience that you don't experience with most people. This is where the 80% rule comes in, right? This is where the 80% was off the table. I hand wrote on here, insert joke about getting ready. For any of you that know Nathan, he's worse, and I'm sorry to the women in the room, he's worse than a woman. It takes Nathan an hour and a half to get out to go to a soccer game. I've never seen a man straighten his hair. And I've never seen a man take an hour and a half shower. By the time that Nathan would typically be ready to go out, I would have a good buzz going because I was sitting on the couch drinking beer, waiting for him to finish straightening his hair. So, learned a lot from Nathan. My wife Denise and I have been married about 2 years now, and the one thing that we always talk about is judging people by their actions and not their words. So living together with Nathan, I learned a lot about Nathan through his actions. One of the things I noticed first off was that as far as he may have been from home, it was very obvious to me that Martin and Carol had raised a fine young man. He was always a man of quality and integrity.
In the genes.
And
In the genes.
It's in the genes. I can say confidently that Nathan is kind and caring. He's extremely loyal and he values family and friendship above everything else. I also know he is completely in love with Kyleey and have every confidence that my best friend Nathan will make an amazing husband for you.
Yeah.
We're getting there. They told me I had 45 minutes, I cut it down to about 6. So even though we're quite far apart, Nathan and I, we still keep in touch. Different schedules, different time zones, we still catch up and we just bullshit and talk about games and everything else going on in life. And one day he just up and said to me, I met this girl and her name is Kyleey and she could be the one. He knew right then she might be the one. For Nathan to say something like that, I knew that it had to be real, and I was very intrigued. Fast forward a few months, Denise and I decided to come to the UK for a vacation, and Nathan was excited to introduce us to Kyleey. We were just excited to meet her because he was so excited about the relationship that they had. So what do? What's the best way to get to know somebody? We planned a trip together. In America, that's what we call immersion. 36 hours together, sharing a car, sharing bathrooms, sharing hotel rooms, sharing just about everything with 2 women, trying to figure out where we're going to eat and what we're going to do. I don't think there's any better way to get to know somebody so quickly and so intimately, for a lack of a better term. Literally fighting over the 4 of us fighting over one bathroom so that we could get out in the morning. What was immediately obvious to Denise and I was that Nathan and Kyleey complemented each other. They just fit. They just fit. And we have a term for us, lock and key, and I don't want to steal that because I don't want to get punched later tonight, but that's how it felt. They just fit, lock and key. What did we learn about Kyleey? As you can all see tonight, her smile lights up the room. It's contagious, and everybody said it. She loves people, she loves life, and she's got a great sense of humor. I believe the relationship without laughter won't last long. If you can't laugh at yourself and you can't laugh together, what's the point? So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here's my toast. Please raise your glasses. It's a simple one. Cheers to Nathan and Kyleey. May they always laugh hard and always love even harder. Cheers. Cheers.